Tartaria is a psyop. First, I'm going to show what the psyop is and why they're doing it. Then I'm going to show who's perpetuating it and what they're involved with. And then thirdly, I'm going to show what I think the situation actually is. I don't think that the concept of Tartaria is a psyop, meaning like, yes, those buildings are old and from another civilization with better technology, but I think that their narrative around what Tartaria is meant to distract you and throw you off from what really happened. The Tartaria that Eddie Bravo, Joe Rogan, My Lunch Break, Flat Earth Dave, all of these figures who are occultists and Freemasons, pushes the idea that Tartaria was a recent event, that in the 1700s or the 1600s, all of these buildings just popped up, and it was just whimsical, steampunk, funny mustache guys running around, and they did it with science. And there's a very important reason why they're pushing that narrative. It's because they don't want you to realize that the Bible is the Tartarian origin story, or should I say, the old world origin story. And the Bible is from the old world. If you ever think, oh, well, I wish I could have access to the historical records and books and literature from that time period, you're looking at it, and they don't want you to realize that. That isn't to say that there isn't plenty of commandeered or buried, stolen, hidden history, technology, and literature, but we do still have some of it here. So because the Knights Templar and the Freemasons, other occult groups, stole this information, architecture, technology, etc., they want to hide it from us because they see themselves as gods amongst men, the rulers over the ruled. And they see us as inferior, uninitiated, vile multitude, vulgar, profane, etc. The beehive, and they're the beekeepers. Therefore, it's instrumental for them, for us not to realize that when Jesus and Solomon were walking the earth, it wasn't huts and shacks and rags. It was riches, technology, wisdom, and the origin stories of this architecture. I mean, really just go read some of the details about 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles where Solomon builds the temple. It explains such grandeur and magnificence in how this architecture was being made. It describes the standardization and industrialization of these buildings. It explains that they were developing the means to replicate these buildings with relative ease. That's going to be the entire subject of the next video, which I'll go deep into with scripture and look at symbology on the buildings and how it lines up with the Bible and all that, but I'll go a little bit more into it at the end of this video. But for now, I'm going to stick with establishing context and laying out the pieces of the puzzle as we need them. So here's some clips from compromised YouTube channels and occultists that are trying to tell you what to think about so-called Tartaria.
And
less than half.
This could be bullshit too. Like this, like all the little stories on all this could easily be. Like, do you believe in Wikipedia? No,
I do.
Dude, there's a.
They call me every day.
Dude, there's a
Check for
YouTube.
facts.
There's a YouTube channel called My Lunch Break. It's called My Lunch Break YouTube channel. You will get addicted to that shit.
What do they have on there?
It's all old world shit.
What do you mean?
You into old world?
Old
Tartaria?
world? What's old
Tartaria.
world?
1800s, 1700s. You guys into that?
Yeah.
You into old world?
Fuck yeah, I am.
It's not
Now
fun.
I am.
It's not fun. You guys got it all over Austin, old world. A lot of old world shit. You know what that is?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
Tartaria.
You don't know what that is?
No, I do. It's the
Okay.
idea that there was a super sophisticated ancient civilization that's been erased from
Dude,
history.
you had a joke.
Oh, Mars bar.
Dude, you had a bit and you nailed.
Firstly, I think it's very telling that Joe Rogan gets calls from Wikipedia. He's highly connected in the government. He's friends with Trump. He's deeply connected with countless people who flaunt occult symbolism, Masonic symbolism, like Anton LaVey, who was the founder of the Church of Satan's grandson, Stanton LaVey, Russell Brand, Eddie Bravo, amongst many more. And here we can see Eddie Bravo doing the 666 because they're practicing revelation of method. And here we can see Joe Rogan clearly posing for a picture doing the 666. And you can go online for yourself and verify this. Even Google AI will tell you this is a famous photo of Stanton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan's grandson, and Joe Rogan doing the sign of the curse. And Joe Rogan's wearing a shirt with Jesus burning in hell that says 666 on it.
You fucking nailed what's going on right now, what they're finding out now. In 2001, you had a bit like, I think people used to be really smart.
But the dumb ones just outfucked the smart ones.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
We're talking about 1800, though, 1700.
Right. No, but I think there's probably some reality to lost ancient civilizations and lost like high-level structures inside of that 11,000 period.
They want everyone to focus on the pyramids and go blackly tapply. They want people to think about, was it 20,000 years ago? Was it 40,000 years ago? What happened in 1700, dog? That's what we want to know. What happened in 1800? Why are all these cathedrals and these impossible, these structures, these palaces that we can't even build today?
Well, a lot of that is our lack of craftsmanship. Like
exactly.
St. Peter's Basilica. Have you ever been to Rome, brother?
Yeah.
If you ever go?
So, of course, just like Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo's podcast and his brand, The 10th Planet, are full of occult symbolism and Masonic symbolism, like the planet Saturn, the one eye, the 666, the pyramid, etc. What we just witnessed was Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo shouting out a channel called My Lunch Break. I've watched this channel for years. I think he makes great content. It's enjoyable, it's digestible, but I think the whole program is based on a lie, and it's just that, programming. They use repetition at the beginning of every episode to nail into your head that there was this civilization here just 200 or 300 years ago. This is the typical Masonic format of controlling the opposition and using 99 truths to sell you on a lie. Firstly, high-ranking Masons will rarely, if ever, platform non-Masons. They see themselves as separate and above us. That's why they call us the vile multitude. Secondly, Rogan, Bravo, and Kenny, who is My Lunch Break, all use the one-eye symbolism and push the same narrative. And that is the repetition and programming of making it clear that the civilization that built these were here just 200 or 300 years ago, and it had nothing to do with God. It was just the great works of men of science and occultism.
Where it's becoming clearer and clearer that these cities all over the world, palaces, were constructed by a massive civilization, one that was here before us, a civilization that had incredible technology, and a civilization that was here only a few hundred years ago, a civilization that is clearly being hidden to us. Yet their construction sits here looking at us straight in the face.
So the major point to take from this is that in the last 1,000 years, there was a major global civilization that made architectures around the world, and they didn't fall till about 200 to 300 years ago. Maybe even more recent. A second cataclysm happened, not the flood, but something that caused this civilization to be destroyed.
Are we seeing any common themes here? And I'll show you in a second here that this guy making this video is absolutely 100% an admitted occultist.
Modern examples of magic include Satanism, which has nothing to do with the ancient tradition. They just have radicalized a compressed and oversimplified version of magic for evil and sometimes simply for cultural influence. New Ageism is the wokeness in spirituality. Things like the secret law of attraction or these cringy occult stores that are trying to sell spirituality to you. They have made occult knowledge look like a joke in the modern day. Then you have these elite cabal Luciferians, if you want to call them that, or who are taking part in magic. So, is magic evil? No. In Tartaria Explained Part 1, we talked about how Tartar is Gaelic and it means thief, but it also means confusion. Maybe they were given that name on purpose? And this is the best part. In this old Gaelic etymological book, it says the word...
So the word Tartar means a great noise or confusion in Gaelic, and in Greek, in the New Testament, it's used for when people mean a special place in hell. Tartarus is a special place in hell for fallen angels. So it would make sense that Satanists or the Synagogue of Satan would use these terms to dispel or propagandize people who are looking into technology that originated with God. You have to understand everything that they're doing is meant to be counteracting what God does, because they see God as a demiurge, the villain, and Satan as the light bringer. For example, in a moment, I'll show you this channel, A Mind Unveiled, say something so dumb that they didn't even put a moment of thought into it. He claims that the New Testament came before the Old Testament, which is just so easily disproved in the fact that there's names used in the New Testament to describe the lineage of the people being born, and if that hadn't happened, they wouldn't have those names, or if the New Testament happened first, they wouldn't have had those names to pull from. And it's just stuff like this that proves that these occultists, these Gnostics, are wise in their own opinion. The Bible constantly refers to them as wise in their own opinion, and that they're openly trying to blaspheme and dispel God's legacy.
Tartar is often accounted for by the story of an Irish soldier who in some Eastern battle called out that he had caught a Tartar. Eastern battle? Could this be the massive architectures and civilizations that we see in the East in these old maps? After Atlantis, a group of survivors landed in Ireland. And look, I'm not really one of those zeitgeist guys, that brings up astrotheology and just says, Jesus never existed. I think he could have possibly been a druid.
I'm just pointing out that Jesus using sorcery and his miracles being sorcery is the exact same demonic propaganda that comes from the Talmud. The people he called children of the devil or brood of vipers saw him perform miracles and put him to death anyways, and then blasphemed him after, saying it was sorcery or witchcraft.
But this is ultimately the story of a spiritual helper who existed during this time of cataclysm to come and help others who were unaware of their spiritual power from within. Fomenko, which if you haven't heard of his work, suggests a completely different chronology than our modern timeline. He suggests that the dates for the Old Testament are actually of a much more recent time, and it is the New Testament that is actually of a more ancient origin. Maybe it's possible that Francis Bacon and other Jesuit occultists of the New World decided to create the Bible in such a cryptic and spiritually influencing spell that would ban humans from using magic or pursuing spiritual enlightenment for themselves.
Now there's this really interesting connection here that this guy named Jordan Bulk, who commented on My Lunch Break's Instagram post. My Lunch Break replied back and they had this cordial kind of interaction. And upon digging a little bit further, we can see that My Lunch Break actually follows Jordan Bulk, who has 1.1 million followers. Freemasons are generally the only kind of people who can achieve this kind of platform. And I would expect My Lunch Break to know that, considering he makes content supposedly calling out Freemasons sometimes. In the New Testament, a Jezebel spirit, or Jezebel, is used to refer to a treasonous or betraying spirit or soul. And here we have My Lunch Break's friend. I assume that these two know each other in person. And it says 50 most beautiful Atlantans. And we can see here that Mr. Jordan Bulk, who appears to be friendly with My Lunch Break, is no stranger to the sign of the square and compass, or the sign of the curse, the sign of the horns. The same one we saw Joe Rogan and Stanton LaVey doing earlier. And here's Anton LaVey explaining what it is.
This is the sign of the horns, a curse sign, the two fingers extended. This way, spread apart for sort of shotgun blast,
Like I said, that's the guy on the right, Stanton LaVey's grandfather, Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. Jordan Bulk's music, on top of just being pretty bad, is worldly, hedonistic, and vain. It's meant to brainwash, program, and instill the principles of Lucifer into you. And it's chock full of Luciferian and Masonic imagery and lyrics. I can't play this because it won't pass the checks, but right here he's singing, "True love is lawless, advocating for transgression. The diamonds are flawless. The real wealth is knowledge. Gnosis, the word that Gnosticism comes from, means knowledge. So now they pay homage. They cannot define us. The kings of the lions." So this goes into what I was saying earlier about they believe that they are meant to rule over us. They're the kings of the lions. They cannot define us, meaning like the vulgar and the profane, they just don't get us. We're so knowledgeable, we're so ascended, we're so initiated. And that's the fruit of Kabbalah, Gnosticism, pride, being wise in your own opinion. Jordan ends this set of lyrics with a Masonic vow of silence, which is representative of the blood oath and vow they take not to reveal the secrets of a Mason.
You know, I have to probably say that I have major Masonic roots. I have never been part of a Masonic lodge. I have never taken Masonic oaths or rituals. A lot of my family, because Texas was pretty much Masonic through and through, was Masonic, high-level Masonic.
That all federal, state, and local judges are members of a certain obscure sect of the Freemasons.
Now, hold on. Our strategy is that all judges are Masons?
There's more to it than that.
Like what?
Well, there's a secret Masonic word which, when uttered, obligates judges to rule in your favor. Then they have to go paddle each other off in a secret cave somewhere. Mr. James.
Come on, Joe, give it up.
Tubal Cain.
Tubal Cain? Sorry.
Tubal Cain? What the hell does that mean?
I have no idea. The master builder awaits the pyramids.
I beg your pardon?
I bet you do.
Do you have anything to say in your defense?
Tubal Cain?
I hereby find in favor of the guy with the court adjourned.
All of these mainstream figures like Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, who pretend to be for the people, are controlled opposition Freemasons.
To those of you who think that you are going to replace Charlie Kirk, okay? Kings are born. You don't just get to depose and tell us that we're going to follow this individual, okay? I'm one of the Masons of Turning Point USA.
This is confirmed with her Facebook cover photo of the Masonic checkerboard floor and the two pillars, which you can also see here in the Tucker Carlson-Conor McGregor interview that was literally shot in a Masonic lodge. And he's of course been seen before doing the Mark Master Mason pose, along with wearing the red string Kabbalah bracelet.
When they were staying at Aleister Crowley's house in England in 1998, they came up with something called the numogram. And people listening to this won't be able to see it, but I want you to hold that up. All right. That is his system. That is, if you're familiar with the Kabbalah Tree of Life, are you familiar with that? The symbol of that?
No.
I probably should have printed that out too.
I wore a red rubber band from a newspaper on my wrist for most of my life, given to me by my father, just as because he worked at a newspaper. And I've been accused many times of being in the Kabbalah. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm an Episcopalian to restate.
Sure.
I don't know shit about Kabbalah. So no, I don't know what the Kabbalah Tree of Life
strike me as
First of all, that's not a red rubber band. And second of all, I think it's funny that he has to clarify 3 times within 15 seconds that he doesn't know anything about Kabbalah, as they're both laughing and holding back smirks.
So the Masons practice a religion? How would you describe what Masonry is?
Well, I mean, Masonry is based in the Old Testament. You know, a lot of the Masons I know are Christian, but again, I look at it as an initiatory path. So I don't look at it as Masons are evil. What I experienced was that so I'll put it like this. The first night that I went there.
Where was this?
The Cornerstone Lodge in New York, which is a very famous lodge. People like Jay-Z, go there and whatnot. It's
Jay-Z's a Mason?
Yeah, from my understanding, he was with that lodge as well, but higher than I was.
So on one hand, they want us to believe that they're not evil and it's just this initiatory path, this spiritual seeking. And on the other hand, they have members of a Masonic lodge wearing a do what thou wilt shirt, do whatever you want, don't have discipline, follow your own heart. These are evil Luciferian concepts. A term coined by Aleister Crowley. The man called the Beast 666, the most wicked man alive, a self-proclaimed Luciferian and occultist. My point is, Jay-Z knows Sean Stone. Sean Stone knows Tucker. Tucker knows Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan knows Eddie Bravo. Eddie Bravo knows My Lunch Break. They did a podcast together. My Lunch Break knows Jordan Bulk, or at least appears to. And all of these people have two things in common. They push occult and Masonic symbology and doctrine, and the same narrative surrounding Tartaria. The Bible says these buildings were being manufactured and produced during Solomon's time with wisdom from God. The Masonic Luciferian podcast bros say it was whimsical steampunk funny mustache guy who just got it done on behalf of science and the wits of men. The Bible says God gave Solomon the wisdom and the knowledge to build like this so that they could be a set-apart nation and a beacon of light to these pagan nations. But they gave him 666 talents of gold and he sold out God's wisdom. But Tartaria bros say it was well-dressed Nikola Tesla-style figures riding around on funny bicycles that did it with science. The Bible says when Jesus was walking the earth, he was walking through beautiful, ornate palaces like we see today. But Tartaria bros say that the New Testament came before the Old Testament. You see, everything that they're telling us is meant to directly contradict the Bible because they're Luciferians and they believe they're meant to rule over us. So that's why it's essential for them to not only, for one, control the opposition, but to set the narrative. Freemasons got the Mason work for free and then hid the history. That's their whole deal. And the proof is in the pudding. What is Freemasonry all about? Metaphorically building King Solomon's temple. That's a nod that they know what the true origin stories are of these buildings.
And the checkerboard is definitely a Freemason thing.
The checkerboard, correct me if I'm wrong, it represents two sides, yin and yang, good and evil. And the person who runs the board has no stake in the game. It's all about the outcome. So whatever you're doing, that's the way to get to your end goal. Does that make sense?
I don't know exactly why Freemasons use the checkerboard thing, but they do a lot, like you've seen.
That's interesting. You've probably seen the old maps that show Antarctica with all this land up there, like old maps.
Land and animals and all sorts of stuff and buildings and pyramids.
What do you make of that? I thought that was really odd that they had those maps from before it was allegedly discovered.
Yeah. So everything in our history is a lie. We did our video, which I assume is out before this comes out, on the old world. My Lunch Break, he goes over lots of the stuff. Everything we think we know. This is the reason I hated history in school, because deep down inside my soul knew that all of this is nonsense. Every single bit of it. All of these things are only possible because people are lost in space, spinning out of control, don't know who they are, don't know what resources we have, and don't know the power of our minds. They don't want us to know that our thoughts create our reality. They don't want us to know.
This is literally Masonic, New Age, Kabbalistic doctrine he's talking about right here. Your thoughts create reality is the same thing as saying you are God. This is the lie Satan told in the Garden of Eden. Eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the Kabbalistic Sephirot and Clippeth, the Kabbalistic tree of life, and you will be as gods. Drink of your own well, eat of your own fig tree. Do what thou wilt. It all means the same thing. This is just one last example of an occultist shouting out My Lunch Break and then praising Kabbalistic doctrine in the same breath.
Want us to know different ways to take care of ourselves that are free, that are amazing.
No, I think if it's true what you're saying, it's absolutely important we know.
Thanks for watching. If you appreciate the content, be sure to turn on bell notifications, like, comment, share, or subscribe.